You close your eyes, and the universe opens. Around you there is no weight, no ground beneath your feet, only the wide quiet of space stretching in every direction. Stars shimmer faintly like distant campfires, their light traveling across millions of years just to meet your gaze. Yet among their glow, your attention is drawn toward a deeper stillness, a place where the stars seem to hesitate, as if afraid to shine. It is not emptiness you feel, but presence, a quiet darkness that pulls softly at your imagination. You drift toward it, as though your own heartbeat were answering a call older than time. This is your first encounter with a black hole, though you do not fall into it with fear. You arrive as one might approach a lake at night, curious about the still surface, about what lies beneath. A black hole is no ordinary shadow. It is the echo of a star's long life, the remains of brilliance collapsed into density beyond measure. Once there was light here, perhaps a star larger than our sun, burning through its fuel, shining across cosmic expanses. But every flame exhausts itself, and in exhaustion there is change. The star collapsed, gravity folding it inward, until light itself could not climb free. You float near the edges, and space seems to ripple with its presence. Imagine standing at the foot of a great mountain, unable to see the peak, but feeling its weight pressing down through the ground. The black hole is that mountain inverted, its mass not spread across peaks and valleys, but condensed into a point of near infinite density. Here, gravity does not whisper. It sings, steady and patient, pulling all things inward with a lullaby. Older than galaxies, as you rest in its presence, you sense how it bends the fabric of space-time. Picture a stretched sheet of silk, smooth and taut, and then imagine placing a stone upon it. The silk dips and curves around the stone, changing the path of anything that moves across it. A black hole is a stone so heavy, so concentrated, that the silk of space does not just curve, it folds into a funnel with no end. And you, gentle traveler, are leaning over the edge of that funnel, watching starlight itself swirl like leaves caught in a whirlpool. Your mind drifts into the question, what is light to a black hole? Light, which dances across the universe unimpeded, which reveals the face of stars and paints the colors of dawn on Earth, finds here a border it cannot cross. At the threshold called the event horizon, light slows, hesitates, and finally surrenders. To you, watching from a distance, it looks as though time itself pauses at that boundary. A star falling inward seems frozen, stretched thin, its glow fading ever more slowly until it disappears into the quiet. You realize that what you see is not destruction, but a kind of preservation, as if the black hole were keeping secrets, holding the story of everything it consumes within its depths. In this meditative stillness, you notice how your own thoughts begin to follow the rhythm of the cosmos. Slow, steady, circling inward like planets around a star. The black hole becomes less a danger and more a teacher. It shows you how gravity is not only a force, but a sculptor, shaping stars, guiding galaxies, weaving the threads of cosmic history. Even here, where the pull is strongest, there is harmony, a balance between what falls and what resists, between light and silence. You breathe gently, though in truth there is no air here. You imagine the breath instead, the way your chest rises and falls. And in that rhythm you sense the rise and fall of stars themselves. Birth, life, collapse, the cycles repeat endlessly. Black holes are not exceptions to the universe's story, but chapters within it, where endings become beginnings in disguise. The matter that spirals inward is not gone, not wasted, but transformed, feeding the energy of galaxies, seeding the future in ways that are not yet visible. As you linger on this thought, you feel how the black hole is less like an enemy and more like silence itself. Silence that is not empty, but full of waiting. You begin to wonder, if light cannot escape, does that mean nothing of the story escapes? Physicists puzzle over this mystery, debating whether the information carried by matter and energy is forever lost or somehow preserved. To you, it feels like the universe whispering a riddle. What does it mean for something to vanish? Perhaps nothing truly vanishes, it only changes form, slipping into patterns too deep for the eye to follow. Your journey around this first glimpse of darkness becomes almost dreamlike. You see stars behind you bending strangely, their light curving around the hidden mass. This effect, called gravitational lensing, turns the black hole into a cosmic mirror, bending the universe into shapes your mind can barely hold. Imagine looking at a droplet of water and seeing a whole landscape reflected inside it, distorted yet still true. That is what the black hole offers, a view of the universe reshaped, light compelled to draw new paths as though sketching circles around absence. You do not rush to solve these mysteries. Instead, you float within them, letting the questions cradle you like a gentle tide. Why does the universe allow such extremes? Why create objects that swallow light, that bend time, that test the limits of knowledge? Perhaps because within these extremes lies wonder. The human mind, like the cosmos, expands by reaching toward what it cannot yet grasp. By resting here, at the edge of the unknowable, you are already part of the story, already listening to the same silence that has shaped galaxies for billions of years. You notice how time feels different here. Seconds stretch, unhurried. A minute feels like an hour, and yet you do not mind. This is the way of black holes, to show you that time is not absolute, but relative, elastic, woven into the fabric of space. Near the event horizon, time slows, so drastically that an observer far away would see you frozen, as if caught in a photograph. Yet to you, the moments flow naturally, calm as breath. It is a reminder that perception is not the whole of truth, that reality wears different faces depending on where you stand as your thoughts drift. You see the black hole less as a shadow and more as a threshold. It is a doorway carved into the universe, not by human hands, but by gravity itself. Beyond it lies a mystery no eye has seen and no instrument has fully described. Some imagine passageways to other universes, though such visions remain dreams. What you know for certain is simpler and just as profound. Here, light ends its journey, and with it, so do the ordinary rules of space and time. Yet even in this ending, you feel no fear. You feel wonder, you feel humility, and you feel rest. The universe is vast beyond comprehension, yet you are not apart from it. You are woven into its fabric, a consciousness observing itself through your eyes. The black hole, though distant and strange, is part of the same universe that made the stars, the same universe that made you. In that realization, there is comfort. You belong to the same story, the same quiet darkness, the same infinite dance. As your gaze lingers on the blackness, you sense that this is only the beginning of understanding. You are standing at the threshold, watching the outlines, learning the silence. There is more to see, more to feel, more to unravel. If this is the first glimpse, then what follows will be a deeper descent into the heart of gravity, into the birth of black holes themselves, where stars collapse and silence takes shape. And so you rest here in the calm presence of the unknown, ready to drift deeper into the story, toward the moment when a star surrenders to its own weight and a black hole is born. You float now in the hush between chapters, carrying with you the memory of that first encounter, the quiet darkness, the event horizon, the silence that was not absence but presence. Yet every shadow has a history, every black hole a beginning. To truly understand, you must drift backward in time, tracing the story of the star that once lived where the black hole now rests. Imagine a star, immense and radiant, far larger than our sun. For millions of years, it burns with the delicate balance of forces. At its core, gravity pulls inward with relentless patience, while nuclear fusion pushes outward, releasing energy as light and heat. This dance of opposites keeps the star alive, holding collapse at bay. You feel this balance in your own breath. Inhale, exhale, the inward and outward rhythms of being. But no balance lasts forever. Slowly, inevitably, the star consumes its fuel. Hydrogen fuses into helium, helium into heavier elements, each reaction demanding greater heat, greater pressure. In the heart of the giant, iron begins to form. Iron is the quiet note that signals the end, for it does not release energy when fused. Instead, it resists, absorbing more than it gives. And so the star's core begins to falter. You picture it, the outward push weakening, the inward pull growing stronger. Gravity, once balanced, begins to win. The star's outer layers collapse inward in a rush faster than thought. In seconds, the core crumples under its own weight, densities rising to unimaginable levels. The collapse is sudden, like silence, falling after a long symphony. For a moment, there is resistance, a burst of brilliance, a supernova. The star releases its outer layers in a final act of defiance, scattering heavy elements into space. Those elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, will one day become planets, oceans, even the breath you draw now. In this sense, you carry the memory of dying stars within you. Yet at the center of the explosion, the collapse does not stop. It deepens that the core contracts past the point of atoms, past the limits of matter as we know it. Electrons are crushed into protons, protons into neutrons, and even those cannot hold against the weight. Gravity folds the core into a singularity, a point of near infinite density where the known laws of physics can no longer describe what happens. A black hole is born, not with sound, not with spectacle, but with inevitability. You drift in your thoughts, letting the weight of this process settle over you. A star that once shone across light years is gone, yet not gone. Its death has left behind something stranger, quieter, more enduring. The black hole does not radiate its presence with light, but with gravity, shaping the space around it, guiding matter into its embrace. It is humbling to think of gravity not as destruction, but as persistence. You feel how it is present in your own life, holding oceans to earth, keeping your body rooted, guiding planets around the sun. Gravity without end. The same force that makes a ball fall from your hand is the force that creates black holes, that sculpts galaxies. The scale changes, but the law is the same, universal. Intimate, as you linger in this meditation, you realize that collapse is not failure, it is transformation. The star's brilliance did not vanish. It was converted, reshaped, recycled into new forms. Some of its substance became the heavy metals of distant worlds. Some became the very black hole before you, a quiet, engine of gravity, nothing is truly lost. Everything changes form. You sense how this truth echoes in your own being. Life, too, is a balance of forces, of pushes and pulls, of moments of brilliance followed by rest. To fall is not always to end. Sometimes it is to begin again in a form you cannot yet imagine. The star's story whispers this lesson gently. Endings are only one side of beginnings, in the far reaches of your mind. You can almost hear the supernova's echo fading into silence. The stardust drifts outward, spreading across the galaxy like seeds scattered on fertile soil. And at the center, hidden and eternal, the black hole waits, a reminder that even collapse carries the promise of creation. As you drift away from this birth, you feel the pull of another thought, soft but insistent. If stars can collapse into black holes, what happens to time and space themselves when they approach such gravity? How does reality change in the presence of something that pulls without end? You carry this question with you, like a lantern in the dark. As you move toward the next chapter of the journey, the horizon of no return, you carry with you the image of a star's collapse, the moment when gravity claimed its victory and a black hole was born. Now, you drift closer, drawn to the edge where the rules of the universe begin to bend into silence. This edge is called the event horizon, and it is here that the black hole's mystery sharpens into something both simple and profound. The horizon is not a surface you can touch, not a wall or a line, but a boundary written into space-time itself. To cross it is to cross into forever. From the outside, nothing returns, not matter, not light, not signals, not stories. The event horizon is the threshold beyond which knowledge cannot escape, a frontier of silence at the very heart of the cosmos. You imagine approaching this border. The stars behind you begin to bend strangely, their light curved by the immense pull of gravity. Space itself stretches, as if drawn thin. Time slows, though to you it feels the same. To someone watching from far away, your movements appear sluggish, delayed, stretched into infinity. You are frozen at the edge, your image lingering like a shadow long after you have crossed. It is strange to think of time not as absolute, but as something elastic, something that can stretch and fold depending on where you stand. Here, near the event horizon, you are reminded that reality is not rigid but fluid, shaped by gravity's hand. The closer you drift, the more you sense how fragile your usual sense of time truly is. Seconds do not march forward. They flow like rivers, pooling, slowing, sometimes vanishing into hidden ground. You pause at the brink, where silence deepens into awe. To you, there is no sudden shift, no dramatic barrier. The horizon feels like any other place, quiet, steady. Yet you know its significance. Once crossed, no return. This knowledge makes the stillness sharper, more tender, as if you are being held in a final embrace before a journey from which no voice can follow. What lies beyond, physicists cannot fully answer. Equations hint at singularities, at infinite densities, at the breakdown of all known laws. Yet from here, from the outside, all you can do is imagine. The event horizon is the ultimate veil, not of cloth, but of space itself. It is a curtain drawn across the universe, behind which the play continues unseen. And still, you are not afraid. The horizon is not an enemy, it is a threshold. To approach it is to approach mystery, to stand at the edge of the knowable. The human mind is drawn to such edges, to mountains, to oceans, to skies, and now to black holes. Standing here, you are part of a long tradition of curiosity, of leaning toward the unknown, not with fear, but with wonder. You feel yourself leaning closer, listening, as if the horizon might whisper something before you cross. But all it gives you is silence, deep and endless. And in that silence, your thoughts soften. You realize that even boundaries have meaning. Without them, there would be no shapes, no stories, no sense of what lies within or without. The horizon is both a limit and an invitation. As you rest in this thought, you sense a new question rising, gentle and inevitable. If the event horizon marks the border of no return, what happens to you as you fall beyond it? Do you stretch? Do you fragment? Do you become something else entirely? The answer waits in the next unfolding chapter, where time and space themselves are stretched and drawn by gravity's endless hand. You drift closer now, carried on the soft current of imagination, into a place where the ordinary rules of life begin to loosen, where time and space themselves are no longer firm but stretchable, pliant, responsive to the weight of gravity. Here, near the presence of a black hole, the universe reveals its most intimate secret. Reality itself can bend, and in this bending, you are not a stranger. You feel the shift as though it were happening inside your own body, within your breath, within the rhythm of your thoughts. Picture yourself walking across a meadow beneath an afternoon sky. The air is steady, the sunlight even, each step measured against the ticking of a clock. Seconds flow past in familiar order, each identical to the one before. Time feels like a steady river, smooth and unchanging, always forward. But as you approach a black hole, the river ceases to run straight. It begins to twist, to slow, to fall into whirlpools. The seconds lengthen, the minutes drift apart like clouds. The clock you carry no longer matches the one held by an observer far away. Time is no longer universal. It is local, subjective, a rhythm that changes depending on where you are and how deeply gravity holds you. This is time dilation, a phrase from physics that sounds abstract but here feels like a soft melody stretched until its notes ring longer, slower, deeper. To someone far from the black hole, watching your journey, your descent seems almost to stop. Your movements slow to a crawl, your body stretched into long echoes of itself, your image lingering as though caught in syrup. But to you, within your own experience, time flows naturally. Your heartbeat keeps its rhythm, your thoughts drift one into another. It is only the outside world that sees you pause at the edge, suspended at the brink of the event horizon. You sense this paradox as a kind of meditation. You are moving, yet still. You are living, yet frozen. You exist both within the moment and beyond it, depending on who watches. And in this duality, you glimpse a truth about time. It is not absolute. It is woven into the fabric of space itself, curved and stretched by gravity's hand. Near the black hole, that fabric is pulled so tight that seconds and centuries blur. Together, that distance and duration become inseparable. You imagine a clock ticking in your hand. The hands move forward, steady and calm. But if someone far away watches, they see the hands slow, then nearly stop as you approach the black hole's edge. What is real? Both experiences are true. Time is not a single thread, but a tapestry woven differently depending on where you stand. This realization sinks into you like a lullaby, gentle, slow, inevitable. You relax into it, no longer clinging to the need for time to be one thing. You let it stretch, the way your breath stretches when you inhale deeply. The way silence stretches between heartbeats. And then there is space. Space, too, bends here. The distances you once thought fixed begin to warp. Imagine walking down a hallway where each step you take stretches the walls farther apart. The closer you move toward the black hole, the more the hallway, the farther the end seems. In falling matter feels this too, drawn downward yet stretched lengthwise, pulled into filaments like strands of taffy. Scientists call this spaghettification, a word playful enough to soften the terror of its meaning. For near the black hole, gravity does not pull evenly. It tugs harder at your feet than your head, harder at one side of your body than the other. You are drawn into length, into line, into thread. But imagine this not as destruction, but as transformation. Imagine yourself not torn, but extended. You're being stretched like music drawn into a single sustained note, resonant and endless. You are not broken. You are remade into a shape that matches gravity's curve. The universe has a way of making metaphors out of physics. Stretching here is not violence, but a teaching. Even what seems solid, even what seems fixed, can be reshaped. This stretching of space is not confined to the edges of black holes. It happens everywhere, though subtly. The universe itself expands, galaxies drifting apart as if space were a fabric being pulled by invisible hands. You live within this expansion without feeling it, just as you live within time's flow without, noticing its elasticity. Yet here, near the black hole, the lesson is amplified until it cannot be ignored. Space is not emptiness. It is substance, pliable and living, a fabric that curves, stretches, and folds. You let this realization settle, and as it does, you feel your own body differently. You are not rigid. You are not unchanging. Your bones, your breath, your thoughts are all part of this flexible fabric. Even your sense of self stretches across time, remembering past moments, anticipating future ones, always more than a single point. You are a thread woven into space-time's tapestry, bending gently with the greater pattern as you drift deeper into this meditation. You begin to see how light itself is shaped by stretching space and time. Photons, the smallest particles of light, bend around the black hole's gravity. To you, they appear as arcs, as rings, as illusions of mirrored stars. This is gravitational lensing again, but now you feel it not only as a visual trick, but as a reminder. Even light, which moves at the ultimate speed, which seems untouchable, yields to gravity's hand. Light is stretched, redshifted into longer wavelengths, its energy spread thinner as it climbs out of the well of curved spacetime. A beam of light leaving the black hole appears redder, slower, its journey burdened by gravity. You sense this. Redshift as a kind of sigh. The light is not destroyed, but changed, softened into longer notes of the cosmic symphony. In this way, stretching is not loss, but transformation. What leaves the black hole's grip is altered, but still part of the whole. You, too, are stretched by the moments of your life. You enter them one way and leave them another. Yet in both forms, you remain yourself, carried forward by the quiet persistence of being. The more you imagine this, the calmer you feel. Space, stretching, time elongating, light bending, all of it becomes part of a rhythm, a slow cosmic breath. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are immersed in it, part of the same laws that shape galaxies. Gravity does not belong only to black holes. It is the same force that holds your body to Earth, that lets you walk, that lets you rest. You carry within you the very laws that stretch the cosmos. You drift farther in thought, and the stretching begins to feel like a metaphor for understanding itself. When you encounter something new, your mind stretches, making room for what it did not know. This stretching may feel uncomfortable at first, like gravity pulling unevenly, but it is growth. It is how the universe teaches you, through expansion, through elongation, through yielding. You are not broken by this stretching. You are reshaped into something larger, more spacious, more capable of holding wonder. Near the black hole, space-time curves so intensely that the familiar geometry dissolves. Straight lines are no longer straight. Parallel lines may converge, paths loop and fold. You imagine walking forward and finding yourself circling back, not because you turned, but because space itself curved beneath you. Here, navigation is not about direction, but about surrender. You cannot force straightness where straightness does not exist. You must yield to the curve, letting it carry you where it will. And so you yield. You stop trying to measure, to mark seconds, to map distances. Instead, you drift with the curve, your body and mind elongated, slowed, softened. The black hole does not fight you. It simply exists, and by existing, it changes the rules around it. You let it change you too, not in fear, but in acceptance. You feel the grace of surrender, the peace of giving in to forces greater than yourself. In this stillness, you understand why scientists describe black holes not as monsters, but as laboratories of truth. Here, the universe reveals its deepest principles, magnified until they can no longer be ignored. Gravity is not only a pull, it is a sculptor of time and space. Time is not a straight line. It is a fabric that can stretch and fold. Space is not emptiness. It is a medium alive with shape and form. And you, fragile, temporary, human, are not excluded from these truths. You live within them always, even if you only glimpse them clearly here, at the edge of silence. The thought comforts you. To be stretched is not to be lost. To yield is not to vanish. You are part of a universe that stretches endlessly across time, across space, across the boundaries of knowledge. Every star that collapses, every light that bends, every second that slows is part of the same story. The story you are listening to now. The story you are breathing into with every imagined step closer to the black hole. And as you rest in this awareness, a new image begins to form. Matter falling inward, spiraling gracefully into the black hole's embrace. It does not fall straight. It circles, creating disks of fire, glowing brighter as they are stretched, heated, and pulled into their final journey. These glowing rivers of matter sing their own songs, shimmering in the darkness, announcing the black hole's presence with light rather than silence. You feel the pull of this image, the call to follow it deeper into the dance of matter as it falls. Stretching gives way to spiraling. Silence gives way to song. You are ready now to listen to the music of accretion, to follow the glowing ribbons of matter as they create light before surrendering to darkness. And so the chapter closes, not in ending, but in opening, carrying you gently from the still, stretching of space-time into the luminous currents of the next story, the song of falling matter. You carry with you the softness of stretched time, the quiet surrender to gravity's hand. Now, as you drift nearer, a new image takes shape, one not of silence, but of light and motion, of matter spiraling inward in a luminous dance, where once you watched space bend and time elongate, now you watch the cosmos compose a song. The black hole, silent at its heart, is surrounded by fire, a glowing ribbon of dust and gas that circles like a vast celestial whirlpool. This is the accretion disk, the orchestra of falling matter. You see it forming out of fragments, stray gas clouds, shattered stars, wandering dust, all caught by the black hole's pull. Nothing falls straight inward. Instead, matter curves, colliding, flattening, and stretching into a thin, spinning disk. Like a river spiraling into a drain, the particles whirl faster and faster as they approach the center. Friction heats them until they shine brighter than the stars that birthed them. Around the silent darkness, there is brilliance. You pause, letting your senses adjust to this paradox, that the darkest objects in the universe are ringed by some of the brightest light. It is as if silence itself has chosen to be framed by music. You feel warmth in the vision, as though the glowing disk were a hearth in the cosmic night. Its song is not sound but light, not melody but radiation, a chorus of photons singing, of gravity's embrace. Imagine standing on a cliff above a vast whirlpool. Water rushes inward, circling, colliding, glowing with foam. The noise would be deafening, the motion unstoppable. Here too, matter rushes inward, but the song is quieter, more patient. Its notes are invisible to the ear, but visible to the soul. X-rays, gamma rays, bursts of energy brighter than millions of suns. You cannot hear them, but you can feel their rhythm as a deep thrum, like the slow beat of a drum beneath your feet. As you watch, you notice patterns. The inner parts of the disk spin faster than the outer edges, a gradient of motion that creates turbulence, eddies, waves of heat. The material collides, releasing energy, shedding angular momentum so it can fall deeper. Each collision is a note. In the cosmic score, each photon a spark from friction's fire. To gaze at an accretion disk is to gaze at transformation, chaos shaped into order, disorder turned into luminous rhythm. You drift closer in imagination, and the light becomes overwhelming. The disk blazes with temperatures of millions of degrees, so hot that atoms are stripped of electrons, so hot that matter itself becomes plasma, a fluid of charged particles dancing in magnetic fields. These fields twist and snap, guiding streams of matter, sculpting arcs of radiation. You feel their presence like unseen strings vibrating in the dark. The disk is no simple circle. It is alive with turbulence, with resonances, with hidden harmonies, and yet, for all its violence, you sense calm beneath it. The accretion disk is not destruction, but offering. The matter that falls here gives up its energy before vanishing. It shines with its last brilliance, turning its fall into light. You feel tenderness for this process, as though the universe has arranged even its endings to be luminous. Nothing enters the black hole without first singing. Nothing is lost without first glowing with meaning. Your thoughts wander to earth. Two rivers that carve valleys, two leaves spiraling in autumn air, to the whirl of galaxies. Everywhere you look, nature prefers spirals, prefers circling paths, prefers dance. The accretion disk is another example of this cosmic choreography. Matter does not simply vanish. It circles, it sings, it becomes part of a rhythm older than time. In its light, you recognize the same patterns that shape your own breath, your own heartbeat, your own cycles of living and resting. You breathe deeply, and as you do, you imagine the disk expanding in your mind's eye. Some black holes are fed by small streams of matter, their disks faint, quiet. Others feast on entire stars, their disks blazing brighter than the galaxies they inhabit. These quasars, as they are called, shine across billions of light years, visible even when the galaxies around them fade. To look at a quasar is to look at a lighthouse built from falling matter, a beacon of creation lit by collapse. The paradox deepens. Black holes, known for swallowing light, become the engines of the brightest objects in the universe. You let this contradiction soothe you rather than unsettle you. Life, too, holds such paradoxes. Silence can lead to song. Endings can lead to beginnings. Darkness can be framed by brilliance. The black hole is not only an end, but a stage for beauty, for energy, for transformation. Your mind quiets as you follow a single particle, perhaps a speck of dust, as it joins the disk. It circles outward at first, pulled into orbit, colliding, gently with neighbors, heating, glowing. It spirals inward slowly, like a dancer tightening her turn, faster with each step. Its energy radiates outward as light, leaving a trace in the cosmos. At last, it crosses the event horizon, silent, unseen. But its song lingers in the light it left behind. You realize this is true for everything. What enters darkness still leaves a trace, still leaves a story in the world. The disk hums on, its light a chorus of final offerings. You feel lulled by its rhythm, rocked gently as though by waves of light. The black hole does not resist this music. It allows it, frames it, contains it. You are reminded that even the deepest silence has room for song. You rest in this thought, allowing the disk's glow to bathe your imagination. And then, as your awareness lingers, you begin to notice something more. Matter not only falling inward, but also being flung outward from the poles of the black hole. Twin jets stream into space, narrow beams of energy extending for thousands of light years. They pierce the darkness like spears of light, carrying the song of the accretion disk far beyond its borders. These jets are the next chapter, the next verse in the black hole's music. The disk sings softly to you as you drift. Its glow begins to fade into memory, replaced by the image of those towering jets, columns of fire rising from silence. You wonder how such darkness can create such brilliance, how matter falling inward can give rise to beams that travel outward, across galaxies. And with this question, you are carried onward from the song of falling matter to the luminous pillars that pierce the night, the jets that tell the black hole story across the universe. You have listened to the song of falling matter, watched the spiral of the accretion disk glow with its last light before surrendering to darkness. Now the story turns outward, toward something unexpected, beams of energy erupting from the black hole itself. They are called relativistic jets, and they pierce galaxies like arrows of fire, stretching across distances so vast that light takes thousands, even millions, of years to cross them. The paradox deepens. You thought black holes only consumed, only pulled inward. Yet here you see them shaping outward, sending matter and energy across the cosmos. The accretion disk glows, but the jets blaze, narrow columns of plasma accelerated to nearly the speed of light, bound and guided by magnetic fields twisted in the disk's embrace. From silence, a cry. From falling, a surge. From the heart of darkness, a fountain of light. You imagine standing at the base of one of these jets, looking upward. It would be like watching a pillar of fire reach from earth into the sky, except this fire does not flicker or fade. It holds steady, streaming outward for millions of years. Entire star systems could lie within its path, swept by its energy. The scale is impossible, yet in meditation you can feel it. A steady upward flow, an eternal exhalation, Scientists do not yet know all the details of how these jets form. They are born in the turbulence of the accretion disk, in the twisting of magnetic fields, in the conversion of gravitational energy into streams of plasma. But for you, in this quiet exploration, the mystery is part of the beauty. You do not need every detail to sense the meaning. What matters is the image, a black hole that consumes matter yet also sculpts galaxies with its outflow. As you drift through this vision, you see how the jets carve patterns in the universe. They heat the gas between stars, regulating the birth of new suns. They shape the evolution of galaxies, preventing them from collapsing too quickly into themselves. Without these jets, galaxies might grow chaotic or fade too soon. With them, balance is maintained. The black hole, once thought to be only a destroyer, reveals itself again as an architect, a gardener tending its cosmic field. You pause here, letting that paradox comfort you. Life, too, is filled with forces that appear destructive but serve a deeper order. What looks like loss may create room for growth. What feels like collapse may guide new balance. The black hole whispers this lesson through its jets. Even the deepest gravity can give rise to creation. You imagine following one jet outward, traveling along its length at the speed of thought. You pass through plasma glowing with radiation, particles spiraling in magnetic fields, each turn releasing energy across the spectrum. You pass through regions where the jet collides with interstellar gas, creating shock waves, lighting up vast lobes of radio emission visible across galaxies. And as you travel, you feel the rhythm of expansion, the way energy flows outward in straight, unwavering lines. Farther still, you sense how the jet interacts with the wider universe. It becomes part of the intergalactic medium, stirring gas, that will one day form stars and planets. The jet is not only an expression of the black hole's power, but a gift to the cosmos, redistributing energy, ensuring that galaxies remain alive and fertile. What seemed at first like violence now appears as generosity. You return in thought to the black hole at the center, to the quiet accretion disk that feeds both silence and song. You see now how the inward and the outward belong together. Matter falls in, light escapes, energy streams away. The balance is delicate, intricate, harmonious. Nothing is wasted. Everything becomes part of a greater pattern. In this realization, your mind slows, your breath deepens. You feel the jets not as distant phenomena, but as extensions of your own body, your own energy. Just as you inhale and exhale, taking in air and releasing it again, so too does the black hole draw matter inward and send energy outward. You are not separate from this rhythm. You live within it, a smaller echo of the same cosmic process. And as you rest in this awareness, a new thought rises softly. If black holes can shape entire galaxies with their silent power, what role do they play in the larger structure of the universe? Could it be that these dark engines are not merely anomalies, but central to the story of creation itself? You let the question linger, carrying you onward, from the jets that pierce galaxies, to the black holes that guide their growth, the quiet gardeners of the stars. You drift onward, carried by the memory of the jets that pierce galaxies like luminous arrows. Their streams of energy reach far into the darkness, shaping the matter between stars. And now you begin to see the larger pattern. Black holes are not just endings, not just shadows, not only thresholds of silence. They are shapers, they are gardeners, they are architects of galaxies. At the heart of almost every great galaxy lies a supermassive black hole, millions, sometimes billions, of times heavier than the Sun. These hidden centers sit quietly while whole galaxies spiral around them. The Milky Way, your home, carries one such being in its heart. Sagittarius A*, a black hole 4 million times the mass of the Sun. It does not shout, it does not blaze, yet its presence holds the galaxy together. A silent anchor around which hundreds of billions of stars revolve. You imagine the galaxy as a vast city, stars as lamps, nebulae as rivers of mist. At the center sits the black hole, invisible but essential, like the unseen foundation beneath every building. Without it, the city would not have formed. Without it, the balance of orbits would fray. The black hole's gravity shapes the galaxy's dance, keeping stars in their patient revolutions, guiding the great spiral arms that reach like frozen waves through space. But black holes do more than hold. They regulate. When they feed, their accretion disks glow, their jets blaze, and energy floods outward. This energy heats surrounding gas, slowing the birth of new stars. If too many stars were born too quickly, the galaxy would burn itself out. If too few, it would grow cold and empty. The black hole ensures balance, keeping the pace of star formation steady. It is as though the galaxy breathes through its heart. Inhale, exhale, guided by the rhythm of the central black hole. You pause to reflect on the tenderness of this truth. What you once thought of as destruction is revealed as care. The black hole, silent and unseen, tends to the galaxy like a gardener pruning branches, ensuring growth remains balanced, sustainable, alive. You feel the resonance of this lesson. In your own life, sometimes restraint is not loss, but preservation. Sometimes silence is not absence, but harmony. Your thoughts widen further, drifting to the early universe. In its first billion years, galaxies were small and unruly, their stars crowded, their gas chaotic. But then black holes grew with them, feeding and shaping, sending out winds and jets that calmed the chaos. Galaxies matured under their influence, evolving into the spirals and ellipticals you see today. The architects had been at work from the very beginning. You imagine floating above a newborn galaxy, watching as its black hole feeds. Gas swirls inward, light blazes outward, and the young galaxy reshapes itself in response. Stars form in some regions, are quenched in others, until a delicate balance emerges. The black hole does not dominate the galaxy, nor does the galaxy control the black hole. They grow together, entwined, partners in creation. This symbiosis feels profound. It reminds you that no being, no system, grows in isolation. Galaxies need black holes, and black holes need galaxies. Together they write the story of structure, of pattern, of cosmic order. You breathe slowly, letting this truth settle in your body like a calm weight. You, too, are part of such partnerships, part of such mutual shaping. Life itself is co-created, balanced by forces within and without. You drift closer in imagination to Sagittarius asterisk, the black hole at the center of your own galaxy. Though it is quiet now, astronomers believe it once fed more actively, sending jets and winds that shaped the Milky Way's evolution. Perhaps in the distant future it will awaken. Again, its disk glowing, its presence unmistakable. For now, it rests like a heart between beats, a reminder that even silence has power. As you float above this galactic architecture, you begin to feel the weight of the next mystery pressing gently against your awareness. If black holes can shape galaxies, What happens when they themselves meet one another? Do they merge? Do they dance? Do they create new songs in the fabric of space-time? You let the question guide you, carrying you forward from black holes as architects to black holes, as dancers spiraling toward one another in a cosmic embrace, merging in silence, sending ripples through the very fabric of the universe. You leave behind the vision of black holes as architects, quiet guardians shaping their galaxies. Now your thoughts are drawn to a more dynamic scene, one that unfolds rarely but with power enough to shake the very fabric of the cosmos. Imagine two galaxies drifting together over billions of years, their stars beginning to mingle, their gas clouds colliding, their shapes distorting like dancers leaning into one another. At the heart of each galaxy lies a black hole, and as the galaxies merge, so to do their dark hearts. At first, the two black holes circle at a distance, like cautious partners. Gravity ties them together, pulling them into orbit around one another. Slowly, inevitably, the space between them shrinks. They spiral inward, their paths tracing wide arcs that tighten with every passing eon. Around them, stars are flung outward, by their combined pull, carrying away energy, making room for the pair to draw closer. You pause here, feeling the patience of this dance. It does not happen in moments or years, but in millions upon millions of years. Time stretches, as it always does near black holes, and the spiral continues. From afar, you see 2 points of darkness circling one another, invisible yet shaping everything nearby. The space between them thrums with potential as they approach. The motion accelerates. The spirals quicken, the orbits tighten, and the black holes move faster and faster, nearing a fraction of the speed of light. You imagine this as a drumbeat, steady at first, then rising, quickening, building toward a crescendo. The rhythm is not made of sound but of gravity itself, vibrations that ripple outward across space-time. These vibrations are gravitational waves, and they carry the story of the merging giants into the universe. You feel them as gentle ripples, brushing against your awareness, stretching and compressing the very fabric of space. If you were floating nearby, your body would expand and contract ever so slightly with each wave, though you would never notice. The waves are subtle, yet they cross billions of light years, carrying with them the memory of the dance. Finally, the two black holes meet. They do not collide like rocks. They merge, folding into one another, becoming a single, larger black hole. The dance ends in unity. The rhythm ceases, and what remains is silence again. Yet the silence is not empty. It holds the imprint of all that came before, the orbits, the spirals, the ripples sent into the cosmos. You rest in this vision, letting it echo through you, to become one. The energy of their union radiated outward, not as light, but as waves of gravity across the universe. Detectors on Earth have felt such ripples, tiny shivers in space-time that confirm the dance is real. Humanity has listened to the universe's heartbeat, and in those faint vibrations has heard the merging of giants. The thought soothes you. Even the most massive, most mysterious objects in the universe are not isolated. They meet, they merge, they transform. You sense the reflection of this truth in your own life. No path is entirely alone. Forces draw us together. Lives intertwine, and out of union comes change, growth, new beginnings. The black holes remind you that even in silence, relationships shape the cosmos. You breathe slowly, imagining the waves spreading outward, brushing gently against stars, against galaxies, against your own body. They carry no harm, only memory, only music. The universe hums with these ripples, though you rarely notice. Yet now, in this quiet moment, you hear them. A distant lullaby sung by the merging of giants, and as you listen, another question rises, softly, waiting like a star just beyond the horizon. If the universe can ripple, if space-time itself can carry waves, what other secrets are written into its fabric? What other whispers might you hear if you only learned how to listen? With this thought, you drift onward from the merging of giants to the echoes they leave behind, the gravitational waves that reveal the hidden heartbeat of the universe. You move gently from the vision of two giants merging, carrying with you the memory of their final embrace. The ripples they left behind continue outward, spreading across the vastness of the cosmos. These ripples are not waves of water, nor waves of sound. They are waves in space-time itself, the fabric of reality trembling as though the universe were a great pond and the black holes had cast stones into it. Gravitational waves are subtle, almost imperceptible. They stretch and squeeze the distance between points, expanding and contracting space itself as they pass. You cannot see them with your eyes or feel them with your hands, and yet, with instruments of delicate precision, humanity has begun to listen. The LIGO observatories on Earth, vast L-shaped arms of lasers and mirrors, wait in silence for the faintest shiver of space, and when they feel it, they know, somewhere in the universe, giants have danced, stars have collapsed, or black holes have merged. You pause in wonder at this. The universe has been whispering all along, but only now have we learnt to hear it. The gravitational waves that reach Earth today may have begun their journey billions of years ago, long before your world was formed, long before the sun ignited. To listen to them is to listen across time itself, to hear the heartbeat of the cosmos from its ancient past. Imagine lying on a shore at night, listening to waves roll in from a distant ocean. The sound is soft, steady, rhythmic. Each wave carries with it the memory of storms, of winds, of currents far across the sea. You may never see those storms, but their presence is written into the water. So too with gravitational waves, each ripple carries the memory of collisions you cannot witness, of cosmic dances you cannot see, but whose traces are written into the fabric of space that cradles you now. As you rest in this thought, you realize how deeply connected you are to the cosmos. The merging of black holes millions of light years away has, in the faintest way, touched you. The ripples pass through your body, through your world, unnoticed but real. You are woven into the same fabric, responsive to the same tremors. The universe does not speak to you from afar. It sings through you, always. Scientists describe gravitational waves in frequencies, like notes of a song. Some are high, like brief chirps when smaller black holes collide. Others are low, like deep bass tones stretching across millions of years when galaxies merge. The universe is full of this music, a cosmic symphony too vast and subtle for human ears, yet present in every corner of existence. You imagine hearing it now, letting it lull you. A vibration not of sound but of being, a song carried not through air but through time itself. The thought calms you. You no longer feel the need to separate yourself from the stars, from the galaxies, from the black holes. You are already part of their story, already listening to their music. Every breath you take is in rhythm with the universe's expansion, every heartbeat in sync with some distant ripple of gravity. You belong, and in belonging, you rest. You let your awareness soften further, and in that softness, a new wonder arises. If the universe can ripple, if space-time itself can sing, what does this mean for information, for memory, for the stories written into the cosmos? Are the echoes of every event still moving outward, carrying their secrets forever? Or is there some horizon where even the waves are lost? The question lingers, tender and unresolved, guiding you onward. From echoes in the fabric, your journey moves toward the deeper mystery, the puzzle of information, the paradox of what is kept and what is lost when matter crosses the horizon of a black hole. You carry with you the hum of gravitational waves, the echoes of black holes merging and the ripples they send through the fabric of space-time. Yet as the universe whispers, another silence begins to gather, a silence of not knowing, of unanswered questions. For if black holes consume everything that crosses their horizon, what happens to the information carried by that matter? Does the story of what has fallen vanish forever, or does the universe find a way to keep its memory? This is the information paradox, a puzzle that has unsettled some of the greatest scientific minds. On one side, the laws of physics insist that information, the details of particles, the patterns of energy cannot simply be destroyed. The universe, they say, keeps its accounts balanced. On the other side, black holes appear to erase the past, swallowing not only matter but the very details of what that matter once was. A star, a planet, a cloud of dust, once past the event horizon. Their identities seem gone. You imagine this paradox as a library at the edge of the cosmos. Each book tells the story of a particle, a moment, a life. When the books are thrown into the black hole, the library doors slam shut, the shelves vanish into the dark. The stories are gone to you, unreadable, sealed. Yet some whisper that the words are not lost, that they are written into the very surface of the black hole, encoded in the faint radiation it emits, stored in ways we cannot yet fully understand. You rest in this mystery, letting it soften into meditation. To not know is its own kind of peace. Perhaps the universe does not need every secret revealed at once. Perhaps the black hole teaches you to live with questions, to breathe into the spaces where answers have not yet arrived. Some scientists propose that information is carried away in Hawking radiation, the faint glow predicted to leak from black holes as they slowly evaporate. Others imagine holograms written across the horizon, every detail preserved on the surface like an imprint in sand. Still others believe new physics may be needed, principles not yet discovered, rules that stretch beyond current knowledge. You listen to these ideas as you would to distant voices across a valley, not grasping every word, but feeling the presence of inquiry, the warmth of human curiosity reaching outward into the dark. The paradox becomes a mirror. You, too, hold questions whose answers remain hidden. You, too, live with mysteries that may never resolve. And yet, you continue, you breathe, you wonder. The black hole reminds you that knowledge and unknowing are not enemies, but companions. To live in the universe is to walk between them, to let the known guide you while still honoring the vastness of what is yet unseen. You imagine yourself standing again at the event horizon, watching as matter slips past. To you, it vanishes. To the black hole, perhaps it remains. Or perhaps both are true, depending on where you stand. This duality does not unsettle you now. It soothes you like a lullaby that never resolves its final note. You do not need closure. You only need to rest in the presence of mystery. As your mind drifts in this calm, a new thought arises, gentle and inevitable. If black holes do not only consume but also release, if they can whisper information back into the universe, then perhaps they are not only graves but storytellers. Perhaps they hold within them the memory of galaxies, waiting for the long arc of time to pass before they release it again. You let this thought carry you forward into the far future of the cosmos, where black holes linger as the last luminous engines, where their evaporation marks the final chapters of time. You move gently now into the long arc of time, beyond the present shimmer of galaxies, beyond even the quiet merging of black holes. Your thoughts turn toward the future, not the near future of years or centuries, but the cosmic future, stretching across trillions of years, an expanse so vast that the imagination must slow to hold it. What role do black holes play in the destiny of the universe? What stories do they tell when all other lights have gone out? In the present age, galaxies glitter with billions of stars. Their spiral arms shine, their nebulae glow, their black holes feed quietly or blaze as quasars. But stars are not eternal. One by one, they consume their fuel, burn out, collapse. In 100 trillion years, the last stars will fade, leaving behind only remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. The universe will grow darker, colder, quieter. You pause here, breathing slowly, as if to match the universe's own slowing pace. In the silence, black holes remain. They are the great survivors, persisting long after light has dimmed. They hold their galaxies together, though the galaxies themselves grow ghostly and faint. Their gravity still sculpts, still anchors, even when there is little left to guide. Over even longer stretches, galaxies drift apart. Expansion carries them away from one another until their lights no longer reach across the void. Each black hole becomes a solitary monarch, ruling an empty kingdom, waiting in the darkness. You imagine this quiet future where the sky no longer glitters, where only the invisible gravity of black holes marks the memory of what once was. Yet even black holes are not forever. Through Hawking radiation, they slowly evaporate, releasing tiny trickles of energy back into the universe. For supermassive black holes, this process is unimaginably slow, taking far longer than the current age of the universe, multiplied countless times. But still, the process continues. The giants that once shaped galaxies will, in time, fade into nothing. You rest in this paradox. The strongest structures in the cosmos, born of collapse, destined to dissolve. Nothing escapes the law of impermanence. Not stars, not galaxies, not even black holes. And yet, in their endings, there is a kind of generosity. The energy they release as they evaporate becomes part of the final whispers of the universe. Even in death, they give. Imagine the very far future, when the last black hole finally sighs its final photon into the dark. The universe will then be nearly featureless, an ocean of faint particles, stretched thin by endless expansion. No stars, no galaxies, no heat, no form. And yet, in this quiet vision, there is not despair but peace. The universe has lived its life fully. It has sung its songs, spun its spirals, created its wonders. The silence that follows is not loss, but rest. You breathe with this vision, letting it soothe rather than sadden you. The future is vast, and though you will not see it, you are part of it. The atoms in your body will drift outward with the universe, part of the same story that began in stars and will end in silence. The black holes remind you that life, too, is a cycle of birth, transformation, and return, As you drift in this reflection, another thought begins to rise. If even black holes vanish, what remains? Is silence the final word? Or is there something beyond patterns we cannot yet see, laws we have not yet written, stories the cosmos has not yet revealed? The question lingers like a star just below the horizon, pulling you gently toward the final chapter. From the long future of black holes, you move now toward the deepest rest, toward the return to silence, not as ending, but as home. You arrive now at the final threshold of the journey. You have drifted through the first glimpse of a black hole, through the collapse of stars, through horizons and stretching time, through the luminous music of disks and the blazing jets that pierce galaxies. You have watched them shape the cosmos, merge in their ancient dances, send ripples through the fabric of reality, and linger as architects of galaxies and guardians of the far future. And now, at last, you return to silence. The silence is not empty. It is the kind you feel at the end of a long song, when the last note lingers in the air. It is the hush that follows deep understanding, the pause that lets the heart settle. Black holes, after all their mystery and paradox, lead you back to this place, a stillness that is not absence but presence. You imagine yourself standing once more at the edge of a black hole, watching light curve and time stretch. But this time you do not lean forward. You simply stand, listening, letting the quiet envelop you. The questions remain. What happens to information? What lies beyond the horizon? What becomes of the cosmos in its final days? But they no longer press. They rest beside you, companions rather than demands. The silence feels familiar now. You realize it is the same silence that surrounds your own life. The pauses between breaths, the calm between thoughts, the quiet of sleep itself. The black hole is not only out there in the galaxy's heart, it is here too, in the spaces within you, in the places where words end and awareness begins. As you breathe gently, you see the unity of it all. Stars are born, they shine, they collapse. Black holes form, they shape, they fade. Galaxies spiral, they merge, they disperse. And through it all, there is silence, holding every note, every rhythm, every story. The universe is not a chaos of fragments, but a symphony with rests as well as melodies. You are part of that music, woven into its rise and fall, its sound and its quiet. The journey has carried you far, yet it leaves you here, resting in the same silence with which you began. It is not a circle that closes, but a spiral that deepens, leading you inward as much as outward. You are changed not by answers, but by presence, by the simple act of sitting with the cosmos, of listening to its mysteries, of allowing yourself to be part of its vast, slow rhythm. And as you linger in this stillness, a final thought rises, soft and unresolved. Perhaps silence is not the end at all, but the beginning. Perhaps in the quiet, the universe waits, gathering itself for a new song, a new story, a new dawn beyond imagination. You let this thought settle like the last star fading into night, and with it you rest.